Way to go! First place! Woo! Woo! Go team! Nice job, nice job.
We ran the whole way with these guys. Totally.
Did ya? Way to go! Woo! Yeah! Woo! Way to go, team! Nice job! Woo!
Hilary Brown. I was diagnosed 7.5 years ago with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And it's been quite a journey. It's been quite a journey. But what I always think about, and the reason I'm so into team and training, is because you guys make a difference on that journey for real, not just, you know, fluffy fundraising kind of stuff, which can be fine and other groups do it, but you guys do it for real. And so much of the money that you raise goes to research, and you're saving lives. I hope you know that what you're doing is saving lives, and people like me, thank you so, so much. When I think about the different things that we've tried, and the different chemos, and the bone marrow transplant, which is really fun if you ever have a couple months free time. And I think about the experimental stuff that I've played with, that I just finished up recently. Most of that couldn't be possible without the things that you're doing. The Rituxan, which is more common now, and that's just the name of the chemo that I've been playing with, was experimental, and research had to find it, and people like you had to do the fundraising to make that happen. I really, truly believe I am standing here today because of people like you, and probably you yourselves. The money you've raised, the way that the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society handles it, the way that goes is amazing. And I cannot thank you enough. Each and every one of you I know has a story. There's a reason you're standing here. There's someone you love or someone you care about or something going on. And your hearts are the kind of hearts that want to do something about it. And you're all crazy too because you decide, what am I going to do? Run? Bike 100 miles? I mean, that's not where my brain would have gone right away. But I love that too because that's what your spirit is. I have introduced you to my friends Libby and Alex, who are here from Pocatello, and we were driving over, and Alex said, well, who are these people? And tell me about them. And for the next, 5 minutes, I was like, they are the most amazing. They come from every walk of life. They have all sorts of things going on.
Okay. My husband didn't make it through like Hilary and all these other people, but he left a legacy that is strong. Wonderful show. Here we go. Okay. In 2007, my husband was diagnosed with cancer, chronic lymphocytic leukemia. And I didn't know anything much about leukemia, so I went on the web, hit me, Leukemia Lymphoma Society, that hit me to team and training. And that hit me to Lynn. Where is she?
I'm right here. Hi.
Hit me to Lynn, and they just happened to be having an information meeting, so I went. I said to Paul, will you go with me? And so he hesitantly went with me. And the rest is history, you guys. I started team and training in 2007. This is my story, if you will. I had to do it this way because I can't remember all this. But this is when Paul started chemo, and he was sailing along really good. He never had any nausea, vomiting, nothing. But it didn't kill his bad cells either. So there was something amok, but you know what? We just got
I'm kind of going to share a little story. I don't have anything like inspirational, I don't think. I'm headed out the door this morning, and I'm like talking to my roommate who I've known forever, and I'm like, she's the one I turn to, and I'm like, does this look good? Am I going to look like a fool if I walk out of the door and people are going to laugh? And so I'm like, is this going to look okay? And she's like, yeah. Isn't that scarf you used to wear over your head? I'm like, yeah, it is. Yay! So I moved from wearing it over my head because I'm pretty excited about that. actually didn't lose all of my hair. I got sick of going bald, and so I just shaved it off and started from scratch. And I'm really glad I did, actually, because I like this new haircut. Woo for that! Yeah. When I was diagnosed, I really didn't see it coming. I was a senior in college, and I was going to graduate in a year and a half, and I just was like, this isn't right. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't go out and party at all hours of the night, I don't do anything wrong. But it really hits you. It can hit anybody. And I'm living proof of that. So, and I was very lucky in that Hodgkin's lymphoma is one of the more treatable cancers. They've known what can cure it is for a long time now. Treatment hasn't changed for it in forever. And so they caught mine early enough at stage 2, so I went through 6 months of chemo and 4 weeks of radiation. And then I was done, and actually the second or third week into radiation, I started school again. So I was working, and then it was at full throttle, and I thought I was going to die, but I made it through.
Most of you have heard my story at one point or another, but just for those of you who haven't, I guess just a quick summary of my history is I was diagnosed with APL leukemia just over 2 years ago in November. Through the process of everything, I stayed 5 weeks in the hospital. From the day I was diagnosed, they took me immediately to the hospital. I spent Thanksgiving and Christmas in the hospital. I did 7 months of chemotherapy, lost my hair about 3 times. I was a sick pup for a long time. I went on long-term disability with my job. And so I had a lot of things happen with that. So I guess I was trying to think of something different instead of just repeating the same story that I've told at the kickoff. And so what I decided to do is, during my treatment, I decided I think I'm going to go with the low point of it for me and then the high point of it for me, which was team and training after I was in remission. So at one point in this, I found I was out of the hospital, and I decided that I was terrified that if I went back into the hospital, what that would do to me emotionally. I just didn't know how I would handle that. I cannot even describe the amount of boredom that comes from being in the hospital. Yeah, this is not fun. It's so boring. And so I was just terrified that if I ever had to go back to the hospital, just how I would emotionally handle that. So I decided at that point to be more proactive, and I found I got in contact with the oncology social worker at Meridian, Misty, and she is fabulous. Wonderful, wonderful lady. And so I started talking with her, and I was totally like, I don't want to go to counseling sessions. But she made it so fun, and she was so cool, and she's this young 30, great, she's wonderful, and we're really good friends now. But she did art therapy with me, which was so fun. And one of the projects we did that I loved the most was she gave me a mask. And we would do it together, and she'd make one at the same time. And one of the things I had to do is I had to paint the inside of the mask on how I felt on my very worst day. And my mask, the inside ended up being blue, and it had big teardrops, and I found some gems that she had that were blue, and I glued them in as teardrops, because I cried a whole bunch during that time. And so for me, my lowest point was right after I got out of the hospital. The hardest point was definitely the first 3 months for me. It was horrible for me to lose my hair. That was one of the most traumatic things I'd ever have gone through. It was shocking to me how fast it came out. I've had long hair down to here, and I cut mine chin length. And for those of you who watch your hair, you probably know what that feels like. It's a horrible experience. And it just comes out incredibly fast. The day it came out the fastest, I cleaned out my hairbrush 15 times, and I had chunks of hair that were in a solid ponytail size of hair.
Okay, forgive me if I flounder a little bit with this, because I wasn't really expecting to speak today. I kind of hoped I had flown under the radar. Anyway, I'll just start out with my story of diagnosis, because I think they're all very interesting and usually quite unusual, but mine began in October of 2005, and all because of a roll of bulletin board paper. I was the administrator in a small school district, and so the only administrator, so that means that I often had to do those odd jobs like, we needed some bulletin board paper to be replaced, and so being the farm girl that I am, I went up and grabbed one and threw it over my shoulder and went down the hall. Well, once I got down there, I realized that probably was not such a smart idea, and I was, hurting a little bit. the next day, when I woke up in the morning, my whole left arm was slightly purpley blotched and a little bit swollen. So this was like on Thursday. So when I went to school, my sweet secretary said, "That's not normal. You need to go see a doctor." So I did, and just my family doctor, didn't really know what that was, and said, you know, actually it's supposed to have been a Wednesday. She said, "Come back in a couple of days if it's not better." Well, it wasn't, and so then she decided to send me to a specialist, but that was not until Monday. So I went through the weekend this way, and Monday went in to see an orthopedic specialist, thinking maybe I had just, you know, pulled something or whatever, but the strange thing was it didn't really hurt. So I went in and actually saw the PA, and he kind of looked at it and said, "I don't know." And the doctor happened to walk by and said, "Come take a look at this." And he walks in and he said, "You know, I think we should have an ultrasound done to see if there are any blood clots." Okay. So they set up an appointment for just a little bit later. I fully expected to go to work that day, so I went to Walmart, bought some stew meat, things like that, you know, and I was going to go back to work. Well, not so much. They did the ultrasound, and that sweet lady, I don't know how she kept it so quiet and calm, but she said, "You know, I have the doctor on the phone," and so I said, "Okay." And of course I'm by myself again, because I was thinking I was going back to work. And the doctor said, "You do have a series of blood clots throughout your shoulder and down into your arm. So we're going to admit you and, you know, do what they needed to do." So I thought I was being admitted right then and there at Holy Rosary in Ontario. But by the time they decided they were going to admit me through the emergency room, it should have been a little red flag, but it wasn't. And so we're walking down the hall, and by the time I get to the emergency room, they said, "Okay, we have an ambulance here ready to take you to St. Al's. You're going to go see a vascular surgeon." What I found out later was like the worst case that the gal who does the ultrasound had ever seen. She wanted to have me filmed so that she could show we were learning. So anyway, but that's not where, we still didn't have a diagnosis. I ended up.
Thank you for joining Team in Training. Thank you for being here this morning, and thank you for saving my life and many other people's. Here is my story. Cancer and Team in Training have both been a life-changing experience for me. It all started 7 years ago tomorrow, March 6th. There was an area on my neck that kept swelling and going down. I went to the doctor and was diagnosed with stage 3, non-Hodgkin's indolent, which means slow growing, and incurable. That's right, I said incurable. But you know, with people like you guys, we are going to find a cure. And I really believe in this.
Nice job. Way to go.
Oh, Kim.
Go team.
We did it.
Way to go, June. Good job, everybody. Woo! 5. Way to go.
Right.